Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. I'm your host, Kate Burgess. Warwick from the Clare Valley joined me again today to chat about the Watervale Hotel and Penobscot Farms. Warwick is really a true pioneer as nothing goes to waste at the Watervale Hotel. Adopting a farm-to-table approach, all veggies are grown at Warwick's farm, Penobscot Farm, and all meat are sourced ethically through local suppliers. From the soap in the bathroom to the furniture in your hotel room to the food on your plate, Warwick is a true example of sustainability and how our world should be moving to protect our planet. Hi Warwick, welcome back to Low Season Traveller Insider Guides. How are you doing today?
Yeah, great, Kate. It's good to see you again.
You too. So, Warwick, you are the owner-operator of the Watervale Hotel and Penobscot Farm in the Clare Valley. And before we dive into what you produce and provide, what path led you to opening this beautiful hotel and restaurant?
Yeah, well, it's a funny one. It wasn't really on the plan, but I got together with my wife, Nicola Palmer, who was head chef, restaurant manager at Skilligalee for 10 years. I was running Killicanoon Wines at the same time, and we'd grown to respect and admire each other's work, and ended up together. And so we bought this gorgeous house called Penobscot in Watervale, and even before we settled, we went to what was to become our local pub, and we went to dinner, had a steak, and the lady who owned it said, "Why didn't you buy the hotel instead of the farm? Because you could have turned it into a house." And I just asked her how much it would be worth, and she gave me a number. And I said, "Well, you know what?" Put my hand out and said, "Let's go, let's do it." And a bit crazy, maybe slightly impulsive. Then we went, okay, we've got a farm, we've got a hotel, let's grow something. And Nicola's always been passionate about growing food for a restaurant and having a fully integrated and very ethical, sustainable approach to food. And a couple of weeks later, I met my yoga instructor in the Watervale General Store, and she told me that her husband was a permaculture farmer looking for a job. So we got him over, and he just said, "Look, this is my dream job." So we said, "Okay, go. You do. We don't know what to do, so you do what you think needs to be done." And he very quickly said that, it's all about restorative agriculture. It's all about, turning what was a sheep farm, Terra Rossa over limestone, which is like red clay. So in the heat, it's like terracotta. Trying to get the water retention back in the soil, get the vitality back in the soil, get the life back into it. And so, we just went down this path. We said, right, that just sounds fantastic. We wanted to create an integrated business that would be, if you like, its own little circular economy with a very no or low waste approach. And so I must say, we've kind of landed in it. We've been, dare I say it, led towards it. And, every day is bringing fresh challenges, and we just kind of, we're loving it. So we've found ourselves as not just farmers and restaurateurs and hoteliers, but also, eco, no waste, ethical supply warriors. And, we'd certainly love to make some money along the line, but, from our point of view, if we can keep the whole thing going and keep this whole community vital and prove a point that ethical, fresh produce taste better and is more nutritious, and get that word out to the world, we'll actually be pretty happy with that. We'll call that success.
That's a pretty awesome dream, because that's the way the world should be going. And it's people like you that pioneer that help spread the word that's so important, that is really impactful. And I love the tagline that you have for the Watervale Hotel of share Epicurean experiences. And I want to break that down so the listeners can fully understand your ethos. So first you have the ethical side. Just like Low Season Traveller, we're all about sustainability. So, can you tell us a little bit more about the organic farm and the other sustainable practices that you have in place?
Yeah, and it's not any one thing. It's actually everything that we do. But starting with the farm, it's organic, which is pretty simple. We don't use chemical fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides. It's biodynamic, which is a little bit different. Biodynamics is actually about trying to maximize the amount of cosmic energy that goes into the soil and goes into the plants in order to maximize the nutrition and flavor. Bit weird. You might have heard of, putting the cow's manure from lactating cows into cow horns and putting them in the soil. People see that as being witchcraft. I just see it as being tribal wisdom osmocote, slow release fertilizer. But that's the kind of way we're going. The whole thing about biodynamics is planting and managing the farm to the cycles of the moon, being very aware of rainfall, soil, all of the terroir concepts, I guess, and being very intuitive about it. Jared was asked by someone doing a farm tour the other day, what's the chemistry of the soil? And our farmer Jared said, I've never measured it. I'm much more interested in the biology of the soil, how much fungal material, how much organic material, how alive it is. Because if I manage the biology of the soil, I'll change the chemistry. So I actually don't care about that. I'll manage the farm to regenerate it and provide life. So, and then the third aspect of that is permaculture, and that includes things like companion planting, allowing plants to go through their full natural cycle, taking a nose to tail type approach for vegetables, just as you might an animal. So using flowers and tendrils and stems and leaves, as well as the fruits or vegetables themselves. All of that is absolutely part of our philosophy. Additionally, all of the compostable waste from the restaurant goes back to the farm every day. And wow, the compost here is just amazing, and it's just creating vitality. As a little aside, we use rye straws in our drinks. So they're actually rye straw.
Cool.
And so that it holds better than paper, and it composts beautifully. We use Who Gives a Crap toilet paper. We use material hand towels that can be washed. The cardboard, and we get mountains of it, goes into, basically uses weed mat in the farm. We've got a farm partnership with Martindale Farms, not far away, who grow 2 lambs for us every week. They're traceably processed at Menzel's, not far away. We bring them in and we process them nose to tail. So there's no plastic bags of portioned meat. We get the whole beast. We also work with Green Slate's free range chickens in a similar way. So we're encouraging a number of the local farmers to be part of our supply chain, and if you want to be part of our supply chain, it's all about the ethics. It's not about price per kilo, and that's really, I've actually been incredibly surprised in a way of just how people have embraced that and how they've become excited, and some people wouldn't expect it to be that way inclined. So yeah, the philosophy goes everywhere. When we empty our water bottles, we do so into a watering can, and we use that to water the plants in and around the hotel. We had a lot of experiments over the COVID break to make soap out of the oil from frying chips with caustic soda and lemon verbena and coffee grounds to make soap. And then, of course, with the post-COVID environment, we had to sort of shelve that one because you can't use cakes of soap in the pub. It's all got to be bottles and blah, blah. But no, and Nicola's just just amazing when it comes to this. Just every opportunity to minimise waste and take a sustainability approach, we do that, and we never grab the calculator because you can't. There's no such thing as an equation that looks at the cost benefit of the saviour of the planet, if you like. It's you've got to take a fairly pragmatic and philosophical approach to it. So we're saying that you can't be ecologically sustainable unless you're economically sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't work. But you also can't be economically sustainable if you're destroying the planet. So we're trying to bring that together and prove, hopefully one day, that you can be ecologically and economically sustainable. And that's a way of the way the world needs to go.
Absolutely. It's really refreshing hearing that attitude, and so great that you guys are really leading the way in this, and hopefully can spread that and teach that to surrounding areas and throughout the world. And you grow all these beautiful fresh vegetables and have farms near you, which obviously tie into the Epicurean part of your ethos. So I'd love for you to tell us about the dishes that you produce and your team create. And when people come to Watervale during the low season, what kind of food they're going to expect?
Yeah, it's, one of the things we've talked about is that just because you're ethical, that doesn't cut it, if the food doesn't taste great.
Yeah.
People, that's really nice. We admire you, but we're going to go somewhere else for dinner. So we have to prove that being ethical leads to more taste and nutrition. That's really what it's all about. We have broadly 3 different styles of menus. We've been running a farm tour and degustation. We actually call it our 6 senses, Penobscot Farm Tour. The 6th sense being really this whole energetic aspect to farming, followed by a 6-course degustation menu. And when people come on that tour, they'll walk around, they'll see, taste, feel everything. They'll even pick some produce, which we'll take back, throw at the chefs, and then that'll turn up in their degustation meal during the course of the evening. And so that's an ever-changing menu, of course, with the seasons. And that's our premium experience at the moment. Before too long, we want to start cooking schools and demonstrations as well. So we'll probably have those up and running by our spring, September, October this year. The second type of menu that we run is what we call our farm feast and gourmet feast. They're shared plate menus. We find they're particularly popular amongst the locals. And when I say locals, a lot of the local farmers even are quite happy to drive 1.5 or 2 hours to come to Watervale because they know the food's good and they know it's genuine and it tastes great. And so we're very much a special occasion destination for big families and groups of friends. And they love the shared plate environment. So the farm feast really focuses on produce from Penobscot Farm, Martindale Farm and Greenslade's free-range chickens. And the gourmet feast, we step it up, and there's ceviche and there's carpaccio and tomahawk steaks and just the next level. But of course, for most people, it's about the a la carte menu, and that again changes. So we have simple sort of bar snack type things like lamb cigars that are inspired by Edition turkey, duck sliders, ceviche, what have you. So it's really good food inspiration from all over the world using natural product, and there's quite a number of main size dishes, all of those designed to be shared as well, so that even couples or groups of 4 can taste more things. And then we absolutely love, and particularly I love, our ice creams and sorbets. That's probably my favourite part, which we make all in-house, many with our own fruits, vegetables, and herbs. I mean, we do a lemon verbena ice cream that's amazing, and sorbets from native mints grown at our kitchen garden across the road. So We do try to utilise everything that's nice and fresh. We make almost everything in-house, so we make our own creme fraiche and yogurt and ricotta. When we make ricotta, it creates whey. We use the whey to tenderise meats. So it's just a very genuine use everything approach in the kitchen. One thing I should probably mention, it's partly on the ethical grounds, but clearly there's no seas or big rivers anywhere near Clare, but we do have fish and seafood. We use the Good Fish Guide, which is a guide that rates the most sustainable fishing practices by species, location, and methods. And so we just religiously go on what these guys advise. We're not experts on the matter.
Awesome. I guess you really also answered my question about experiences as well. Really kind of what menu you pick is the experience that you're going to get. And hopefully when borders are back open, that cooking school is open and people can, pick their own produce and cook it, which is just a dream for me, really. Seeing it and seeing the growth of it and then really cooking it is a really special experience for food lovers as well.
Yeah, we've been to a few good, places like the Agrarian Kitchen in Hobart, and we've been to Bray and Royal Mail and a lot of other places for inspiration. And, you don't copy anything, but you're certainly more than happy to borrow good ideas and do things your own way. And so we're enjoying that.
As you mentioned as well in the previous episode, the Clare Valley has such a rich history being on Nudgee land. So what is the story itself behind the Watervale Hotel and what has the building been used for in decades past?
Yeah, it is an interesting one. And yes, it is Nudgee land. Something I'd really love to do actually is to develop an aspect of the menu which relates to that heritage. We haven't got to that yet. But it was first licensed in 1847 as the Stanley Arms, the county of Stanley, going from Port Wakefield to Spalding in South Australia. And in the 1850s, the Stanley Arms was a pretty rough old place. I mentioned last week how there were copper mines. And so Watervale was a stopover for the copper bullock drivers. And the licensee in the 1850s was actually a man by the name of Greenslade, same family as the free-range chicken. And he used to run gambling on bare-knuckle fights between the bullock drivers. And in the 1850s, two guys were actually killed in these bare-knuckle fights. So just they paid out on the other bloke, just in case you're wondering. But they're having been paid out, they ended up spending a bit of time in jail. But Mr. Greenslade died in 1861, and he left the jail he left the hotel to his wife, Esther Greenslade. And she wanted to clean up the act, so she petitioned to have a jail built out the back of the Watervale Hotel, and also to have on her licence that she was able to lock up the drunk and disorderly, because we were a long way from the police. So she basically had her own pub jail, and it was opened in 1868 and was dubbed by its guests as the Hell Hole. So I can't imagine it was very nice.
No.
It's nice in there. Yeah. And she changed the name to the Watervale Hotel in the same year. So, she was quite one hell of a woman, and she wanted to change the whole, image of the business. And that operated as a pub jail for about 50 odd years. I hear stories from relatives that Carl Sobels, who was the winemaker and owner of Queltala, was a justice of the peace. He'd come over and sentence guys in the mornings. And so he'd ask them what they were drinking the night before, and if they said beer or whiskey, he'd fine them £1. And if they said Queltala wine, it was only 10 shillings. So, they soon got to know, if you were going to misbehave in Watervale, you better be drinking the local drop. But the pub burnt down. It was Mud and Door. It burnt down in January 1913. and was completely rebuilt by another woman, Helen Forbes. And so she built it in stone. She did an amazing job, beautiful building. But unfortunately, such is the world of hotels, there were a series of 100 years of lessees from that point in time. And so there was 9 layers of paint on the stone walls, and there was, orange vinyl put over the top of the Baltic pine floorboards, and then green carpet on that, and just basically crap on crap on crap. And, illuminated signs, beer signs out the front, and all the rest of it. So when Nicola and I bought the place a bit over 3 years ago, we just pulled off those illuminated signs. We ripped up the carpets and the vinyl, and just let's see what's underneath here. And what we found was an amazing, beautiful building. We stripped the paint off the stone walls, etc. So that started a 3-year process of restoration. And Nicola is amazing. She's not only the head chef, but she made every single interior design decision, every single exterior design decision, all of the furniture, and it really is quite stunning. It has we tried to keep a 1920s kind of feel about it in terms of Chesterfields and furnishings. There was some pressed tin in the original bar ceiling, which dated back to that First World War period. So that's inspired pressed tin to be used throughout the pub, in the front bar, the kitchen bar, even in the toilets. So you've got pressed tin, stone, wood, glass, basically linking through the original old pub with the extensions at the back, which include the huge new kitchen and beer garden space. We've got lots of really nice private dining areas and semi-private areas inside the hotel. A wine room, we keep it 18 degrees, so that's perfect for reds. And then out the back, you've got this huge beer garden area, seats about 150. It's been reclaimed from a space that didn't exist. We took out 700 tonnes of earth between the hotel and the jail to create that space that became the beer garden, outdoor toilets and kitchen area. We've also built a big Argentinian style barbecue and wood oven, and we call those the fires of hell to link it with the hellhole. And then we've rejuvenated the hellhole itself and turned it into a private dining space with its own toilet, kitchenette, and a 5 metre long boardroom table that seats 22. But I think the real piece de resistance of the property is the kitchen, which is really several kitchens in one. That includes a big kitchen bar with chef's table, which is designed to be where you will sit for your degustation, cooking classes and demonstrations in the future. But we've still got a COVID restriction that doesn't allow people to sit inside a kitchen and dine.
Hopefully soon that will be taken away, but it really sounds like a magical place that is just so much more than a place to stay and a place to eat, but the history behind it and the fact that it was a jail. I absolutely love that there was just, lock up all your drunkards so you don't have to bother about it. You're the judge. Yeah. You serve the beers. It's the way to go. And if anyone wants to know more about it, I will definitely put the link in the podcast description and people can come discover it.
Yeah, well, it's sort of responsible person taken to another level, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Warwick, thank you so much for your time. It has been an absolute pleasure learning about the Watervale Hotel, and hopefully when all of this COVID just goes away, I can come over there and visit.
That'd be great. We look forward to seeing you, Kate.
Thank you. Thank you again to Warwick for joining us. If there are any destinations you'd like to hear more about, message us on our social channels at Low Season Traveller. Don't forget to share this podcast with your friends, family, and social networks. More now than ever, travel is better without the crowds.